So as of an hour and a half ago, I was saying to myself, wow, I got a day off. My first real day off in weeks. And I thought I was going to use this time to catch up on everything, all the chores around the house that need to be done. I was going to record so many videos, do so many notes. And then I got a phone call from the daycare saying, oh, by the way, your kid is sick. Come pick her up, and she can't go back for 2 days. So here I am just trying to crank out a video on literally anything I can. And I'm probably going to catch whatever she has. I'm going to have to... the life of working parent. See this? See this stuff? This is a piece of a desk that my wife ordered. They've been sitting here for about a week now. Yeah, life of a working parent. Okay, so what are we going to do today? I'm doing a tasting of Glenallachie because I complained about it last week when I was doing my video on Napogue Castle 14. Let's see. There we go. Good enough. Oh God. I did start doing this video, and then my wonderful daughter needed something, and I realized I hadn't even plugged in the audio anyways, so there was going to be no video. So we're starting again. All right, so what I've got here is a tasting set of Glenallachie 12, 15, and Macnair's Lum Reek, a name which I'm going to mess up at least once in this video. All right, so now, why do this? Because, partly because I was complaining about Glenallachie recently. The 12-year-old has now gone up to $70 and also seems to be heading towards replacement by an 8-year-old, which is also $70. So, part of what I wanted to see here was, is it worth y'all going nuts to kind of run around Chicago replacing your buying up all the 12-year-old you can? Also, I just, the last time I tasted through the regular Glenallachie range was in the before times at some event. They were pouring the stuff. And I wasn't really impressed by the 12 or the 15. The one that really caught my attention was the cast strength 10-year-old, which I reviewed on this channel. And I called it a little bit of a bargain back when it was $60. It is now $100. That's the way things are going. All right, so let's get this started. Again, tasting set. Glenallachie 12-year-old. It's 46% alcohol by volume. Back up a little bit. Glenallachie Speyside Distillery, not that small, but kind of small relative to other nearby distilleries. Recently taken over by Billy Walker. And revamp their range, everything well presented now. And obviously all this was distilled pre Billy Walker days, but they're working with what they got. All right, so 12-year-old, 46% alcohol by volume. I'm guessing this is unchill filtered as well. If I looked it up, probably natural color as well, and a slightly scary natural color at that. Let's see what we got here. Again, I found these a little bit uninspiring before, but we'll see what we got. Okay. It's an interesting nose. It doesn't feel like they've. So the nice thing is they haven't completely, smashed the spirit into oblivion with a ton of oak. There's a lot of oak on this that they've re-racked it in the last couple of years. Hard to tell what kind. I'm detecting some sherry. I'm guessing maybe some Madeira in there too. I'm guessing whatever they could get, honestly. Recharred wine casks, maybe. I don't know. But so, point being, I'm still getting the spirit in this. If you've ever had an independent bottling of Glenallachie, which are delightful, by the way, go grab one. It tends to be a very fruity, honeyed, slightly citric, like lemony orange, and sometimes like almost bready, like or biscuity kind of malt, and some of that is still here. It's just kind of fighting off these really heavy woody notes. So it's it kind of works. It's kind of pleasant. I'm enjoying the freshness of the spirit more so than the wood, but that's just me. Okay, I should actually get some distinct tasting notes on the table, I guess. Coffee grinds, black pepper, dates, prunes, a little touch of raisin, but not too much. English breakfast tea, certainly. There's an ashy note, but it's not really like a campfire ash. It's almost more like you kind of burned your dried fruit a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense. And then beyond that, you've got some vanilla. You've got actually some pineapple in this, which is fun. I don't usually get pineapple on malts, or not, at least not young malts. But there it is. Some pear, just good old straight up pear. Little orange peel. Wildflower honey, definitely. Almost a cinnamon toast crunch note. It's nice. Could do with a lighter hand on the oak, personally speaking, but it works. On the palate. It's actually funny doing this. I guess the last video to have gone up was the Glenallachie. I'm sorry, the Napo Castle 14 video, because in that one I remember talking about that whiskey being a kind of beast of two natures. Like on the one hand, it's got these very heavy, like coffee and dried fruity sorts of notes, and on the other hand, it's still very light. It's very citric. It's very grassy and bright and fresh, and those two kind of worked in tandem on that. Here it's almost the same story, but the marriage isn't as happy. It feels like the freshness, the spirit is just undergoing this onslaught of like fresh oak, and yeah, it's not subtle, and I don't know if it totally works. Let me try this one more time. All right, what do we got? Once again, dates, figs, but like burned, kind of like if you toasted your dates and figs. A little raisin, lots of black pepper. Cinnamon toast crunch again. Vanilla, creme brulee, coffee grinds, but also like just like hotel lobby coffee that's been left on the burner for like 3 hours. Very bitter coffee stuff, but then behind it, you kind of have the malt creeping out. You've got clover honey. You've got I don't have a whole lot left. Clover honey, dessert apple happening. That slight citric side, although it's more lemony on the palate than it is orangey. Yeah, it doesn't feel particularly balanced to me right now. I'm going to add some water and we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is right now. This would be a pass for me, especially at $70. Add some water. Come back to it. Extremely excited to try this 15-year-old, which has even more worrying color. I know next to nothing about this. Glenallachie 15, also bottled at 46%, presumably unchill filtered and natural color. On the nose. Even more kind of aggressive woodiness. It's but at the same time there's less notes coming out. Sometimes you can detect heavy aggressive wood influence, especially one that has been added recently, through more almost through the lack of notes than through the overt notes coming through. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's somehow kind of how it feels. What I am getting, lots of, again, like just burn, like ash, but it's like burn dried fruit rather than campfire. So somehow you lit all your dried fruit on fire and now you're smelling it. That's a lot of what's going on. Black pepper, overstewed tea. So the color of this apparently is sunset bronze, according to the marketing. Okay, I could go with that. Jesus. Yeah, I'm not getting a whole lot else from this. There's some cinnamon happening, vanilla. It's just tough to pull anything out of this, beyond the wood, coming actually from the distillate. Maybe a hint of like cider apple in there if I'm really, really, really pushing it. Okay, let's see what happens on the palate. Here we go. Ooh. Again, let me try this one more time. So there's a distinct kind of funky burned raisiny character on this, which suggests Pedro Jimenez casks. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm getting. And those are not my favorite casks. So it kind of arrives okay. It arrives, on like burn dried fruit, a little bit of appliness, apple cheese. I've used that note before. Black pepper, and it's kind of fine, but then it just kind of devolves into this woody, tannic, ashy slash like raisinettes thing, which I'm really not too hot on. Oh. Nope. No, this is, I'm sure some of y'all watching this is your jam, and I respect you. I absolutely respect you, but for me, like, it's not just that I don't personally really like this style. It's also that I don't think it's particularly well done. It feels like the wood has just been done too fast, too much. It doesn't feel balanced to me anymore. I think I actually like the 12-year-old a little bit better. Yeah, okay, let's move on. All right. We'll come back to these, see what water does. I hope it does good things. All All right. Lum Reek, 12-year-old. This is apparently a legacy brand from it's been kind of revived by Billy Walker. Bottled at 46%. It is a blended malt Scotch whiskey that is peated. And that's all about all I know. I will put further information as I find it. It's easier to do write-ups. There's actually record videos when there's, you know, small children home. Okay. I mean, it's peaty. I'm getting peat. But there's something. It feels weird because there's a kind of strong medicinal, you know, Isla maritime peat thing going on. Which is strange because what I was expecting from this would be Benriach, right? Because Billy Walker, maybe he had some, you know, he got some Benriach casks and was blending it up with his new stuff. This doesn't smell like Benriach to me. It smells more like, you know, like the more medicinal side of Isla, but it's like weirdly flat. I don't know how else to describe it. It's there's some fruit in there too. Some banana happening. Pepper, vanilla. No real sherry to speak of. This I think this is all bourbon cask or, you know, some variation on American oak. What is going on there? So yeah, I mean the dominant note is medicinal Isla, but it's like it feels very superficial. Like it doesn't feel like they've just, you know, had some fruity Speyside malt and then blended in some heavily peated stuff. It feels, I don't know what I'm saying. It feels like the whole batch has been peated, but like everything in this was peated, but like just in a very superficial, it feels superficially peaty. I'm gonna go with that. On the palate, So I mean, I've had, you know, blended malts before, which are a portion of unmalted malt whiskey and also some, you know, heavily peated stuff in there. Like I've reviewed some stuff, the Rock Island blend, right? This doesn't feel like that. It feels more heavily peated, but more superficially peated. It's very strange. So yeah, maritime peat, slightly medicinal, slightly grassy, vanilla, creme brulee, touch of like topsoil and barnyards. Maybe there is actually some Benriach in here. Who knows? This is I'm kind of puzzled by this entire lineup, but this one might be the most puzzling because, I mean, I will tell you what it tastes like is that a bunch of, you've kind of blended up some legitimately peated malt with some unpeated malt that has been finished in peated malt cask to kind of up the peatiness level, but it doesn't totally work. I mean, it's certainly peaty. It's delivering, you know, a nice peaty blast. It just feels so flat somehow, especially for something that's 12 years old. It just feels like, in the same way that it feels like a lot of the oak on these two was introduced at the last minute. It feels like the peat on this one was introduced at the last minute. But that kind of doesn't make any sense unless they're doing like peated, peated cask finishes. I don't know. I'm very confused by this. I don't hate it. I'm just kind of just confused. I'm just confused by this. I'm gonna give it some water. We'll come back to it. Rough tasting today. All right. Back to the Glenallachie 12, now with a squirt of water in it. So what I'm hoping will happen with the water is the distillate will kind of reassert itself and give this some more character, some more balance, because I really like Glenallachie, what comes off the stills and what comes through in just good old-fashioned bourbon casks. And to some extent, I'm getting that. I'm getting some fresh apple slices now. There's a little bit more black tea creeping in. Okay, all right. Well, I did like the nose in this before. I still like the nose on this. Almost like a caramel note in this, like toasted caramel. Yeah, okay, and then like just kind of a cereal graininess, which is very pleasant. What I was hoping for seems to have happened, at least on the nose. And that shouldn't surprise me. I mean, when you got finishes, a lot of the time when you give them water and a little bit of time, the finish just blows off and you're left with whatever was left underneath. And happily for me, what was underneath this was very pleasant, like fruity dessert style malt. Here we go on the palate. With water, still not my favorite, but much improved. Much improved, which is what I want to see when I add water. There's still a lot of kind of oaky ashiness playing around, but yeah, most of what I'm getting is take some croissants, drizzle some honey on them, cover them with some apple and pear, squirt a little bit of like orange and lemon on it, and that's most of what's going on in the palate. Vanilla. Yeah, this works. Would I pay $70 for this? Absolutely not. I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. But this is okay. So yeah, if you happen to have a bottle of this, I highly recommend adding water, giving it a little bit of time, let the glory of the distillate shine through. It reminds me a little bit of what is it? Strathisla, actually. There's a little bit of a Strathisla character here, which is good because I like Strathisla. Grading wise, I don't want to go crazy. I'm going to give this 83 points. 83 points for Glenallachie 12-year-old. Has some issues. Has some balance issues, but you know what? I would be happy to have this in my cabinet. I really would. Not for $70 though. All right, Glenallachie 15. Did I mention? I don't think this is on sale in Chicago anymore, but the 15 is around, say, in Total Wine for around $110 to $120. See what happens with this on the nose. Still very ashy, like still very burned, dried fruit. that raisiny thing I was getting on the palate is definitely in play here on the nose now. Like burned, funky raisins. PX. It's ashy. Here, I think adding water has actually bumped the power of the wood up some, which is not what I was hoping for. Like, yeah, bergamot peel again, like burned raisinettes. Yeah, okay. I tell you what, as far as you hand this to someone who's like a Balvenie fan, who really likes those kind of upper end Balvenies, I think they'd be into this. I am kind of not, but you know, maybe they would be. On the palate. Okay. That's interesting. Let me try this one more time. So what's happened on initial encounter is, you know how I talked about the arrival on this neat was fine. You know, like, and then the finish got kind of awkward and, you know, more awkward. Here, with adding water seems to just like cut off the entire finish. Like it's just gone. Like it reaches back to my molars and then it just disappears. Now, and don't say I drowned this with water because I didn't add that much. Let me try this one more time. What is happening there? Yeah, so arrival on burned stuff, dried fruit, the funky burned raisins, little touches of orange peel, apple, cinnamon toast crunch. But then it just kind of like, it hangs on fine in the front, but there's nothing going on beyond my molars now, which is really not good. So this one, don't add water. Or really, I mean, just don't buy it. Sorry, Billy. I know you worked hard on this, but I'm not really a fan of your 15-year-old. Yeah. I don't want to be too mean to this. It is kind of nice on the arrival. But yeah, it really doesn't feel balanced. It doesn't feel like it's been able to kind of pull all of its elements together. I'm going to give this 80 points. I like it significantly less than the 12-year-old. If I feel like the 12-year-old is a pass at 70, this 15 at, 110 is a major pass with like 15 S's, do not buy. All right, back to the Lum Reek, which had me extremely puzzled. I'm going to see what I feel after going back to it now that's had some water. Yeah, much less peaty now that water's been added. Which suggests to me that maybe I was onto something with that whole like just peated cask finish thing on some of this. I think there is actually genuine peated whiskey in this. But I think a lot of it is maybe just peated cask finishes. Because it's done the finished thing where now that I've added water, given it some time, that note is just blown off. And what you're left with is a little bit of peat, not as much as before. Some gentle grassiness, creme brulee, a little bit of honey, touch of cider apple, a little graininess, and that's about it. on the palate. Yeah, that kind of ashy finish thing just seems to be a Billy Walker staple these days. Ashy, peppery finish with some peat happening, but it all feels very fragile. Slightly grassy, slight kind of dried flowers sort of thing. Creme brulee again, vanilla. I don't know, like it's not bad. I think I actually like it more than the Glenallachie 15, but it just feels like some of the blended malts I've done on this, the blended peated malts, Big Pete comes to mind, are just better. Like they have no age statement, but they're just feel like a better made product than this. I don't hate it. It just feels very, very flat, very one-dimensional. I'm going to give this 82 points. And for $70, get something else. Get Ardbeg 10. Save some money. Get Big Pete. Get whatever you want to go for. This would not be my pick. So, kind of a rough show today. The conclusion is Napogue Castle 14 crushes all of these and is cheaper. 83 points for Glenallachie 12. This was my favorite of the tasting. 80 points for the Glenallachie 15. And Macnair's Lum Reek, 82 points. I'm going to go check on my 4-year-old. Thanks for watching and cheers.